are in the story of the world inside the mountain. And where we left off 2 weeks ago is Tangara the saint said to his son, show Mahasena around. And Muni Putra, the son of the sage, goes into the mountain, and Mahasena can't get in. So the son comes out and he says, you obviously don't know yoga. So he says, go into meditation. He grabs him by the subtle body and whoosh, into the mountain they go. And I think that's where we left off. Wasn't that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. And what number are we on? We're in the 12th chapter.
I have us on number 71.
Yeah, that seems
Can you
right.
help us out, please, Ganesh?
Sopi gandashilantastho rajanam samupahvayat atha bhuyo vinishkramya praha bhupam mune sutaha. He also, staying within the rock of Ganda, called the king. Then coming out again, the son of the sage told the king.
Okay, so I skipped ahead. Now the son of the sage has come out because the Mahasena cannot get inside the mountain. Going on.
Drishaiva lokaste sadhya praveshtum khalva yoginah ayogad ganda shailoyam ghana sapratigho bhavat. King, this world is indeed not capable of being entered into by you, a non-yogin. On account of absence of yoga or accomplishment of necessary meditation, this Ganda mountain becomes dense and invisible.
So what the son of the sage has is what we call siddhis, various occult powers. Now, these siddhis, we've said this before, in and of themselves are no indicator of self-realization. But the whole idea here is that the phenomenal world is just vibration held together by thought. And for these tantric yogis, the tantrikas, they are able to do some dream shaping with the phenomenal world. So some can levitate, some can teleport, some can astral project. Again, this is a literary device here. It's not that all these yogis are going to be able to develop these occult powers. That's not the real purpose of all this. But he's saying here that the king, because he's not practiced yoga, has not done these various austerities, cannot enter into the mountain. So the Muni Putra, the son of the sage, comes up with a solution now. Going on. Ganesh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. Netapyastvam savarthaiva piturvachana gauravat tadatra deham vinyasya kotare trina samvrute mano matra sharirassan shailam vishamayasah. You ought to be led into the rock in whatever way on account of respect for my father's words. Therefore, placing your body here in this hollow, hidden by grass, and having a body consisting only of the mind, enter into this mountain with me.
So the son of the sage says, I have to do what my father said. It's my duty to obey him. So tell you what, you just lie down here and come with me in your astral body, your mental body. the Sukshma Sharira, or the Antakarana, into the mountain. Now, poor Mahasena, he's not adept at yoga, so let's see what he says when the son of the sage says, just get out of your body and come with me. Let's see what happens.
इत्युक्तः प्राह नृपतिः शक्तो देहनिर्गमे कथं मुने देहम् इमम् उत्सृजामि समीरय उत्सृजामि यदि बलान् नाशं नेष्यामि सर्वथा. Thus told, the king, who was incapable of going out of the body, said, Sage, how do I leave this body? Tell me. If I leave it forcibly, I shall be completely destroyed.
So here the king is saying, Mahasena is saying, I don't know how to do this. The only way I know that people leave their body is to die. So if I do it forcibly, I die. I'm not keen on that today. So it is possible to gain control of the movement of the subtle body independent of the physical body. One way is actually through learning how to do lucid dreaming, because the body you run around in your dream is your subtle body. And there are techniques to do that. Some tantric yogis practice being able to travel great distances in their astral body, in their subtle body. It's not that big a deal. It's actually not even that difficult to learn if you put your attention on it. But Mahasena doesn't know how to do this. So let's see what happens next.
Evam vadantam nrupatim rahasyaha mune sutah aho yogana bhignosi chastu netre nimilaya. The son of the sage said to the king who was speaking thus, smiling, you are one not conversant with yoga. Let it be. Close your eyes.
So again, this Muniputra is a little bit arrogant. Again, he reminds the king, he says, obviously, you are not well versed in yoga. I'll take care of this. Just close your eyes. And then what he's going to do is himself take control of his astral body, his subtle body. Let's see how it's phrased in the scripture.
Ityuktva मीलिताक्षं तं प्रविश्य निमिषार्धतः आकृष्य तल्लिङ्गं तनुं क्षिप्त्वा श्वभ्रे च तत्तनुं योगसामर्थ्यतः शैले निविश्य नृपसंयुतः सुषुप्तं देहवैकल्यात् स्वसंकल्पोत्थ देहके संयोज्य बोधयामास प्रबुद्धो नृपतिस्तदा गृहीतं मुनिना पश्यत् स्वं महागगने तदा. Having said thus, entering into him who had closed his eyes in half a moment with the subtle or mental body, drawing out his subtle body, placing his physical body in the hollow, entering into the mountain along with the king through the power of yoga, and uniting him who was asleep in the subtle body on account of the non-existence of the physical body, with a different body born of his own will woke him up. Then the awakened king saw himself in the vast sky, taken hold of by the sage at that time.
So, in this mental body, the king is put to sleep in his subtle body or mental body. The son of the sage takes him into the world within the the mountain. And what he sees is this vast sky, this space. So he is in that subtle body, separated for a time, as it were, from the physical body. So when this happens, only the prana is left, keeping the physical body going. And then you run around wherever you wish in this subtle body. Now they're inside the hill, going on.
ऊर्ध्वं विश्वं च सम्पश्यन् नभो भीममनन्तकं भितः प्राह मुने पुत्रं मुने मां न परित्यज परित्यक्तो विनश्यामि पतिष्येऽहं निराश्रये इति भीतं नृपं दृष्ट्वा प्रहस्याः मुनेः सुतः. Seeing above and all around the infinite and terrific sky, and frightened, he told the son of the sage, "Sage, don't leave me. If left alone, I shall fall into the supportless space and perish." Seeing the king, who was thus frightened, the son of the sage said, smiling.
So they are in this vast empty space of the mind. The space created by the son of the sage. And the poor king is terrified. Now, there's something to be aware of with this. Frequently in our meditative journey, experiences will happen to us. Some of them may frighten us. Thing to hold on to, it's all just mental imagery. Don't be frightened. It's all going to be okay. You are in no danger. Actually, many of us feel this separation between the physical body and the subtle body in meditation. If you've ever been sitting in meditation, I used to get the sense of like I was like rising up. I feel like, oh my God, like vertigo. And then I'd open my eyes and then I'd be back in my physical body. Or I'd be sitting in meditation. It felt like I was like leaning to one side. And then I'd open my eyes and I'd be back sitting upright. So you get this sense of movement. Wow, what is it that's moving, that's rising up or leaning to one side or the other? It's the subtle body. No big deal. It's just another phenomenon. Any thoughts on this? Going on.
परित्यज भयं भूप नोत्सृजामि निशामय एनं शैलान्तरस्थानं लोकं धैर्येण सर्वतः. King, give up fear. I shall not leave you. Observe this world situated within the mountain on all sides with courage.
Deepa, what's going on? Oh, we're in the middle of class. All right, bye-bye. I'm sorry, say again. I thought that was something, someone trying to get onto the class. Read the English again, please, Ganesh.
King, give up fear. I shall not leave you. Observe this world situated within the mountain on all sides with courage.
So he says, don't be afraid. The son of the sage will hold on to him. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. Going on.
अथ धैर्यं समालम्ब्य नृपः समवलोकयत् अधो दूरे सनक्षत्रम् अभ्रमन्ध तमोवृतम्. Then, taking courage, the king saw below at a distance the sky covered by utter darkness together with stars.
So he's in outer space. There he is, seeing all the suns and the stars and everything like that. He's completely out of this world. Now, how did he go into a mountain and then be in an outer space? Because all of this is just the mind. Going on.
Pravishyamtam deshamapi tatodhastat prapashyata chandramandalamasphitam tatragatya jadikritah chandramandalashitena muniputrena rakshitah. Entering into that space also, he saw below from there the circular orb of the moon, grown large all around. Arriving there, he was benumbed by the coldness of the orb of the moon and was protected by the sun of this age.
So in the astronomy of the ancients, supposedly the sun was the source of heat and the moon was the source of cooling. That's why night was cool and the daytime was warm. So the idea here is he's even able to be in outer space and do a moonwalk 1,000 years ago. Going on.
अथ प्राप्य सूर्यलोकं तत्करैर्भीतापितः मुनिपुत्रेण योगेन शिशिरीकृतदेहकः अपश्यल्लोकम् अखिलं स्वर्लोकप्रतिबिम्बवत्. Then, reaching the region near the sun, he was very much burnt by its rays, with his body made cool by the son of the sage through his power yoga. He saw the entire world existing like the reflection of the sun or the space above the sun.
So again, the idea to get close to the sun and he's getting scorched, but the son of the sage with his mind says, no, you get to be cool. So the whole idea here is in this thought world, thoughts are things. Now listen very carefully. The only difference between this thought world and the material world is the grossness of the vibration. That's all it is. Because this world is a grosser vibration, the law of sankalpa may take a little more time to actuate. What is the law of sankalpa? Any wish, will, thought, intention, desire, sankalpa, that's consistently maintained, that you don't rip off with a contradiction or a conflicted desire, manifests. It tends towards grossification. In this subtle thought world, he's got a whole universe he's created. But you can do the same thing. I just finished a really wonderful murder mystery written by Robert Galbraith, which is a pen name for J.K. Rowling. Takes place in England, and there's a private eye and his sidekick and all these things. You know, you read a book which is all imagination, This whole world is created in my mind. I can see what the characters look like and everything. It's just amazing what the mind is able to create. Just imagination, whole worlds. Now, we have sankalpas that can come into conflict. So those people who say are science deniers, for example, their sankalpa is vaccine isn't necessary, COVID isn't real, blah, blah, blah. Well, the Lord's sankalpa is a little bit more powerful. Thank you very much. Right now we have a worldwide pandemic. That's what the Lord's sankalpa is. Perhaps what you and I believe is not too efficacious against it. Going on.
अथ शृङ्गे हेमगिरेः मुनिना सह संस्थितः मुनिप्रदर्शितं सर्वम् अपश्यत् पृथिवीपतिः. Then he was standing together with the sage on the summit of Hemagiri, or the Golden Mountain. The king saw everything shown by the sage.
So now they're in another place, and the son of the sage shows him these various scenarios, and Mahasena sees them all. He's able to participate in the sankalpa of the Muniputra, the son of the sage. Going on.
दूरान्तरावलोकाय मुनिदत्तः क्षुभेक्षणः अपश्यत् फलयात्मानं लोकालोकाख्यपर्वतम्. Given a bright and capable vision by the sage for seeing places at a distance and with intervals, he saw the mountain called Loka having the characteristic of a circle.
So again, he's seeing this particular scenario created by the mind of the Muniputra. Going on.
Tadvahidvantasandoham antasavarnam edinim samudran saptadvipamscha nadi girisamakulan Bhuvananyapi sarvani chendradyan vibhubottaman daityan manushyan rakshamsi yakshakim purushadikan. Outside that mountain, he saw a mass of darkness, and inside golden land. He also saw oceans and 7 islands full of rivers and mountains, all the worlds, excellent celestial beings with Indra as their chief, demons, human beings, evil spirits, semi-divine beings like yakshas and kimpurushas or inferior humans.
So a whole cosmology, a whole world is created inside the mountain for the king to see by the son of the sage. He gets to not just be a king like his father was, but he gets to be a god of this world. Going on.
Tatra pashyat satyaloke vaikunthe rajate nage muniputram swamatmanam brahma vishnu shivatmanam vibhajya samsthitam sarva loka srishthyadi hetave. There he saw in the Satyaloka Vaikuntha and the shining mountain Kailasha. The son of the sage, staying in the form of Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva respectively, dividing his own self into three for the purposes of creation, preservation, and destruction of all the worlds.
So here the son of the sage imagines himself as the Hindu deities. Why not? The point here is within our own minds and our own imagination, there are no limitations. There are no limitations in this imaginary world. So he gets to work out all his various desires. Obviously, power is one of his. Going on.
Atha pashyat bhuvibhage kritva रूपान्तरं तथा प्रशासनपरो भूमेः sarpabhaumatpamasthitah. So also he saw him as having assumed a change of form in a part of the earth and as having obtained the status of the emperor of the earth, intent on ruling it.
So now he gives up being a god in this world and he's just an emperor of the world. Again, able to change form by changing his thought. Going on.
Evam munikumarasya drishtva yogadhimuttamam vismito bhun mahasena tatah praha mune sutah. Having seen the excellent yogic power of the son of the sage in this manner, Mahasena was surprised. Then the sage's son said,
Going on.
Rajan neta lokajatam pashyatah kala atyagat arbudanam dvadashakam itokyatra dinatmakah gachhavo bahyalokam tam yatraste janako mama. King, for you, seeing this collection of worlds, though time measuring 1200 million years has passed by, here it consists of one day. Let us go to that external world where my father lives.
So here is a very interesting point. Inside the world in the mountain, one day has passed. Forgot to tell you, King. Did he say 12,000 years?
1200 million years.
1200 million years. And again, just means a very, very long time has passed in the world that they left. That's a long time. So the idea here is the mind itself creates time as well as space. So now the Muniputra, the son of the sage, says, let's go back to the other world and see what's going on. Going on.
Ityuktva bhubhrita tena sahabhuya khamaplutah purvavat tadgandashailan nirgatyabhyayayo bahi. Saying thus, he again jumped up into the sky along with that king, going out from the Ganda mountain as before he arrived outside.
So they exit the mountain and they're back in the waking state world that they were in before they went into the mountain. Going on.
Muniputra punashailat mahasenam vinirgame vidhaya murchitam lingam deham samskara matrakam samadaya vinirgatya prakshipattacharirake. उत्थापयामास तूतम् उत्थापयामास तूतं जीर्णदेह susangatam. The son of the sage in the departure from the mountain, making Mahasena insensible again, taking hold of his subtle body consisting only of his mental impressions, and coming out, put it into his body. He also awakened him who was united with his worn out body.
So his physical body has been lying in the hollow, subtle body goes back in, and then he wakes him up. Let's see what happens. Going on.
Athothito Mahaseno bahyalokam samikshyatu bhuvam janam starun stotro Bhuvam janam starun stroto hridadimschapi nutanan babhuva vismitotyantam papracha muninandanam katamo vai mahabhaga lokoyam me pradarshitah. Then Mahasena, who had risen up, having seen the external world, the new land, people, trees, rivers, lakes, and the like, became extremely surprised and asked the son of the sage, Holy One, what indeed is this world shown to me?
So he wakes up after this long period of time, and everything is different. Different people, the landscape is different, the rivers are different. What's happened? Going on.
Pura drishtad purvoyam samachakshvaita tadbhutam itya prishto munisuto mahasena muvachah. This is quite new compared to the one seen earlier. Acquaint me with this wonder. Thus asked the son of the sage, told Mahasena.
So he's questioning why everything looks so different. Going on.
Shrunurajan nayam lokaha purvam yosmabhi rasthitah sa eva chirakalena parinamantaram gatah. King, listen, the world which was occupied by us earlier, that alone has arrived at another transformation after a long time.
So everything has changed because everything is always changing. You cannot go back because the past is gone. Now he's going to find out everybody he's ever known and loved has been dead for thousands of years. Going on.
Shaila lokagatanam no dinamekam yagat tavatevatra kalena tvadashar udavatsaraha atikranta ato lokaha tvayam rupantaram gatah bhinnam yavahritim pashya bhasham chapi samantatah. One day which elapsed for us, situated in the world inside the mountain, by so much of time alone, 1200 million years have passed by here. Therefore, this world has arrived at a different form. See different practices and languages all around.
So again, the 1200 million, just think of it as a very long time. It's a literary device. The whole point is even the language has changed where he was before. Everything is different. Going on.
Evameva jananam tu kalena bhidyate sthitihi Evam maya tu bahudha drishta bhinna jagat sthitihi. Exactly so, the state of people changes with time. Thus, a different state of the world has been seen by me repeatedly.
So the one constant is change in this world. Going on.
Jim, I also think sometimes maybe these like crazy times that they have, maybe it's to fit the
Say, I'm having a hard time hearing you, Ganesh. Let me see if I can increase the volume here. Just a minute.
Oh, it's nothing important. Don't worry about it.
No, say it again.
I was just gonna say, I also think that sometimes maybe they have these crazy like numbers, 1200 million, all this stuff, because it might fit the meter of um, the verse, because they're writing
Oh,
for
of course. That's a great idea. Of course it does.
yeah.
But the idea is it just means a very long time.
Yeah.
Good point. Very good point. Going on.
पश्यैष मे स भगवान् समाहितमतिः पिता सोऽयं देशो यत्र पूर्वं त्वया मे संस्तुतः पिता. See this, my revered father, with his mind absorbed in the self. Oh, maybe I missed one. Sorry. Evameva jananam tu. Did I say that one?
Are we lost?
I think I missed this one. Evameva jananam tu kalena bhidyate sthitihi evam maya tu bahuda drishta bhinna jagat sthitihi. Exactly so, the state of people changes with time. Thus, a different state of the world has been seen by me repeatedly. Are you able to hear, Jim, or no?
Yeah, I'm still working on the keep going.
I just finished the verse, but yeah.
Yes, so the whole idea here is, again, everything has changed. A long period of time has passed. Going on.
पश्येष मे स भगवान् समाहितमतिः पिता सोऽयं देशो यत्र पूर्वं त्वया मे संस्तुतः पिता. See this, my revered father, with his mind absorbed in the self. This here is the place where my father was praised by you earlier.
So Tangara, the father, is still there for all these millions of years, still in Samadhi. So that's one thing that hasn't changed too much, but everything around has. Going on.
एनं पश्य महाशैलं यत्र मे लोक ईक्षितः त्वद्भ्रातुर्वशपुरुष त्वद्भ्रातुर्वंशपुरुष अतिक्रान्तः सहस्रशः. See this great mountain where my world was seen. The men belonging to the lineage of your brother have passed by in thousands.
So there's the mountain that we went inside, but the people of your family, your lineage, have all come and gone by the thousands. So the point here is everyone you ever loved, dead. Everything you thought was important, gone. Sacrifices, wars, everything, meaningless. His whole world has changed. Going on.
Yatte puram Vangadeshe Sundarakhyam sthitam pura Tatra bhuta sampritavanam Vyaptam Shwapadamandalaihi. In your city, which is called Sundara, situated in the country of Vanga, formerly, there came into existence a forest full of groups of outcasts at present.
So your city is gone, and now it's tribal people who live there. Everything has changed. Going on.
त्वद्भ्रातृवंशजः सद्यो वीरबाहुरिति श्रुतः मालवेशो विशालाख्ये क्षिप्रातीरे पुरे स्थितिः. Today in the city called Vishala, on the bank of the Shipra river, there indeed lives a king of Malava named Veerabahu, born of the lineage of your brother.
So there is still one relative. He's down the road in this other city, and he's about all that you've got left as relatives, and that's thousands of generations after you. Going on.
Twadvamshayopi susharma. Twadvamshayopi susharmakhyo Dravideshva Bhavanrupah Vardhane Nama Nagare Tamraparni Saritate. One called Susharma, also belonging to your family, became a king in a Dravida country, in a city called Vardhana, on the bank of the river Tamraparni.
So again, other descendants and what they're doing. Going on.
Lokasthitiriyam chetham sarvada parivartate alpakale naivam etad bhavadnutanam jagat. This state of the world always changes in this manner. Thus, in a short time, this new world was born.
So the point here is the world is always changing. The wise man does not grieve at it. In the 11th verse in the second chapter of Gita, Krishna says, you grieve for whom you should not grieve, though you speak words of wisdom. The wise grieve neither for the living nor the dead. What's going to happen? Everything changes. Everything passes away. The invitation here is make friends with the impermanence of everything in the world. But you do not change. You are the eternal factor. You are the screen on which all these changes take place. Going on. I think you're muted.
Itopi chirakalena naganadyo hृदा भुवः अन्यथा bhavamayanti evameva jagadgatihi. From here also, after a long time, mountains, rivers, lakes, and sites go to a different state. The course of the world is only thus.
So even the geography changes. The course of the world is only thus. The constancy of change. Going on.
Girayo nimnatam yanti nimnadesha mahochatam marudeshastvanupaha syuv parvata valukamayah. Mountains go to the state of depression, and depressed places tend to the state of great height. Desert regions may become watery, and mountains full of sand.
More of the same idea. Going on.
कठिना भूशिला प्राय भवेत्यन्त भवेत्यन्त कोमला कोमला भूरपि भवेत् पाषाणः सदृशी क्वचित्. Hard land resembling rock may become extremely soft. Soft land may also become like stone somewhere.
Same idea, going on.
Ushara bhururvara syadur vasheshara vashesharupini. Ushara bhururvara syad urvaroshararupiणी ratnani sharkara syurvai ratnatmanastu sharkaraः. Saline soil may become fertile, and fertile soil may have a saline nature. Precious stones may become pebbles, and pebbles may be of the nature of precious stones.
Same idea, going on.
Sharam jalam swadurasam madhuram sharatam gatam kada chinnara bahulyam kadachit pashu sanchayam. Saline water may have a sweet taste, and sweet water may go to the state of salinity. Sometimes there may be an abundance of human beings, and sometimes a large collection of animals.
Same idea, going on.
Kadachit krimikitadi prachuram jagadikshitam evametajagatkala bhetat parinatam prithak. Sometimes the world is seen abounding in worms and insects. Thus, this world is separately transformed due to change in time.
So the world goes through its changes constantly. Foolish people expect it never to change. Foolish people expect their surroundings in their lives never to change. Another slogan for you. How does it go? The difference between adversity and adventure is attitude. If we're hanging on to what has been and change comes upon us, we see it as adversity. If we can let go, be curious, then it's adventure. What's new? What's the Lord going to bring now? Ever, ever new. Going on.
Tasmadayam purasmakam loka evedrishasthitah etyakarnya munisutta vakyam sa chamahipatihi mahasenodhyanta shoka vishto murcha mupagatah. Therefore, this former world of ours alone is existing with such aspects. Thus, having heard the words of the son of the sage, the king Mahasena, overcome by very great sorrow, suffered fainting.
So Mahasena, hearing that this world is the same one he left an hour ago, and it's all different, is so freaked out he passes out, he faints. Going on.
Muniputra samashvasta prajnama sadhya bhupatihi apyanta shoka samvishto ilalapa sudinavat. Revived by the son of the sage, the king, obtaining consciousness and penetrated by very great sorrow, lamented like a miserable person.
So Mahasena grieves, he grieves, he grieves. because everything to which he was attached is gone. Is that what you and I do? Relationships, home, friendships, politics, economics. When it isn't working out the way we've planned, and it's changing. If we're attached, we grieve. Going on.
भ्रातरं भ्रातृपुत्रांश्च दारान् स्वात्मन एव च पुत्रादींश्च पृथक् स्मृत्वा विललापादिदुःखितः. Remembering separately his brother, brother's sons, wife, and also his own sons and others, he lamented very much distressed.
So for him, the great grief is the people he's loved, gone, and he's distressed. Going on.
Athatam mohato bhratra mukhan shochantamanjasa muiputro vachah praha ubodha yishayan nrupam. Then the son of the sage, wishing to teach the king, spoke these words directly to him, who was grieving for his brother, and others uttered illusion.
So now there's an opportunity for teaching here. Let's see what the son of the sage says. Going on.
Rajam stvam buddhimanunam kam kimartham hi shochasi buddhimanto hi viphalam jatu kurvanti karmano avimrishya phalam yastu karma kuryat sabalishah. King, you are certainly intelligent. Who indeed do you grieve for, and why? Intelligent persons are not indeed engaged in fruitless actions at any time. He who does action without reflecting on its result is childish.
So we grieve for our loved ones. What is it about it that we grieve? Well, if your parents die, you grieve. If your grandparents die, you may grieve if you knew them. If your great-grandparents are dead, for most of us they are, do you grieve? But, well, I didn't know them, Chip. That's the point. What about your great-great-grandparents? Do you grieve them? No, don't even know who they are. What is it that causes us to grieve? Let's see what the son of the sage says.
Tattvam shochasi kam bruhi kimartham vahi shochanam ityuktah prahatam bhupo mahasenoti dukkhitah. Therefore, say for whom do you grieve, or for what purpose indeed is his grief? Thus told, King Mahasena, who was greatly distressed, said to him,
Going on.
Kim na pashyasi shokasya sthanam mama mahamune sarvam yasya hatam tasya karanam pritchasiha kim. Great sage, do you not see the cause of my sorrow? Why do you ask the reason for the sorrow of one whose everything has been lost?
So it seems obvious to him. Let's see what the son of the sage responds. Going on.
Ekasminapi shokasyat shokasya dhatte lokasya sarvatha kutastvam pritchasi puna sarvanashe hyupasthite. Even if one thing is lost, there would be sorrow for men exceedingly. When there is indeed the loss of everything, why do you ask me again?
Yes. Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Let's see what the son of the sage says. Going on.
इत्युक्तो मुनिपुत्रोऽपि भूयः प्राह हसन्निव राजन् ब्रूहि किमेतत्ते कुलधर्मसनातनः यच्छोचनमकृत्वा तु प्रत्यवायो महान् भवेत् अथवा शोचिते नष्टं प्राप्यते भूय एव तत्. Thus told, the son of the sage again said, as if smiling, King, tell me, is this the ancient custom of your family, that without grieving for the loss of relatives, a great sin would be deemed to occur? Or when grieved for, would that which was lost be obtained again?
Going on.
राजन् विमृशधैर्येण शोचिते किं फलं भवेत् नष्टेषु बन्धुषु यदि शोचित्वयं तदा शृणु अतीता बन्धवो नष्टाः पितामहमुखा खलु तत्सर्वदा शोचितव्यं कुतः पूर्वं न शोचितम्. King, reflect with courage or calmness. What result would occur on grieving? If one ought to grieve when relatives are lost, then listen to what I say. The relatives who are dead, such as your grandfather and others, have indeed been lost. That ought to be grieved for always. Why was it not grieved for earlier?
So he's then riffing on what I was saying earlier. If we're to grieve for the loss of our relatives, why don't we grieve for grandfathers, great-grandfathers, great-great-grandfathers? We don't do that. You may want to know who they were, but you don't grieve. Going on.
अथ ते बन्धवः कस्य बन्धुत्वं वा कुतस्तव माता पित्रो स्वस्य वापि पुरीशः क्रमयो हि ये असंख्याता स्वदेहोत्था देहसम्बन्धिनोऽपि च न ते स्युर्बन्धवः कस्मात् कुतो वा तेन शोचिताः. And whose relatives were they? From where was that relationship of yours? The worms in the excreta of the parents or oneself are indeed countless. They are born of one's own body and also connected with the body. For what reason can they not become relatives, and why have they not been grieved for?
So what's the logic of your grieving? It's not necessarily relatedness. Many of you have heard me say this. Funeral rites are not for the dead. They're for the living. They're ways for people in spiritual ignorance to cope with their loss. We create all sorts of rituals that we think are going to benefit the dead. The dead are on their way. They're fine. Things like Pindan, you're going to have food for the soul of the ancestor. They don't need food. It's our need to feel like we're doing something that's helpful. Oh, Granny was so blessed she was able to die next to Mother Ganga. That really makes a difference, to die next to a river. Or in the modern state of Israel, if a terrorist blows up a bus stop, the EMTs scoop up all the body parts, even the blood in the soil. Because a lot of Orthodox Jews say you got to get all the pieces because you need it on the day of resurrection. Not necessary. Now, we do not disturb the minds of the ignorant. We participate in the rituals. We have genuine sorrow at their misfortune. We comfort the bereaved. And in truth, nobody dies. And in terms of the astral body, the subtle body, where it's going to go, that person had that all set up for a lifetime. The prarabdha is set. No one stays in the body a minute too soon or leaves a minute too early. It's we who need to deal with our attachment, our loss. No blame. Just see it for what it is. So funny. How many times, most of you are youngish, where you leave a job and they have a going away party for you. And all your coworkers say, "Oh, you're such a wonderful person. I've enjoyed you so much. We have to stay in touch." You exchange contact numbers and information, stuff like that. You may make a call or two, but in a year or two, do you stay in touch? And if we hold on to the past, we can't move on to what life presents. I'm thinking of a young woman whose husband was killed in Afghanistan a decade ago. She's still having trouble moving on. Some people it's hard. But you never know. You never know what the Lord's going to bring us. Going on. Ganesh, before we start again, how many more verses in this section?
We've already finished the previous chapter, Jim. We are now in chapter 13 and we have finished 36 verses in this chapter.
Okay, we'll go on then.
Rajan vimrishakastvam vai kan vinashtan prashochasi dehastvam deha bhinno va deha sanghata rupakah. King, reflect on who you are and which lost ones you're grieving for. Are you the body or different from it? The body is of the nature of a combination.
All right, I think we'll stop here because he starts in depth now the teaching, the yoga teaching, and we'll repeat that verse and go on from there next week. Any thoughts about what we've covered? Especially in chapter 12, this whole idea, the power of the mind to create what we experience. You don't have to right away accept the teaching that the phenomenal world is all just a dream-like manifestation. It's enough to start with my opinions of it, my experience of the phenomenal world is my own judgments about it. And of course, in our current political environment, we see it so clearly. People are convinced of one viewpoint or another. They believe it so strongly. and it becomes a reality for them. We all do it. What the yogi wants to understand is that which I'm seeing is judgments, not a truth, not an objective world. Just don't take your own mind seriously. Always think when you're conversing with another person, you may be right. Always have that. All right, any other thoughts? I should send out an email reminding people that we're starting up. I'm wondering, did anybody else log on except Mark?
Nope, I'm the only one.
I bet they may have thought that we were still on hiatus. Okay, we'll end here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Guru Pyo Namaha. Hari Om. Om Tat Sat. Thank you.